It is a 13-7 win that we just got to watch on the map number 1 of Ascent between QOR and YFP. And once again, our prediction doesn't start in the way that we expect, but it was a map that was at least in the first half. It was going back and forth between the two. A 7-5 to go into the second one, and then QOR just dominating shift right at the end to close it out. It was, in a way, what you said about the duel is, but I think also so much more.
Yeah, I think so too, because, I mean, QOR were finding just limitless success with these 5-man floods early into this first half, and then immediately afterwards, YFP were like, all right, we need to contest these guys from just getting away with all of these quick pushes, and it worked out nicely, stretching together not just the last couple of the first half, but also followed into the second half for 5 in a row, but it just felt like YFP were a bit amiss in terms of what their focus on their setups were. I think in particular from the defensive side, just so much freedom given over through the middle of the map, and that never changed on the offensive side really much so ever. I mean, outside of the first pistol and the anti-eco, they only got the spike planted 3 times in what was a very lengthy second half. So just the executable success for YFP just not there really whatsoever on the offensive side.
Man, I'm yapping about these QOR players, right? I'm gassing them up. I'm simping for Zeldris, and they go and do, and I don't predict them, right? And then they go and do the thing I said they were going to do in the first place. Like, why am I predicting YFP is actually unreal? But yeah, like one plant, I don't know. Like the first kill, first death ratio is like, well, it was pretty lively, pretty back and forth, right? Like a lot of the early engagements, but it's the multi-kills, it's the playing forward of the side, it's the denying any sort of plant opportunity whatsoever. Man, like, at no point did YFP actually get a read on the tempo the QOR were trying to play at. But that's evidenced by them only getting like, what, 5 defensive rounds? Like, that's not enough. It's not even close.
I liked over on the right before we went into the map, you were saying, yeah, I'm gonna double down on YFP winning this. Not to call you out or anything, but you did say that, and I mean, it's not going that way just yet, but to be fair, if that last week of Challengers was the week of 2-0s, this is going to be the week of 2-1s for every single match. It's really building up to be, because YFP, you know, it didn't go their way. It didn't start in the way that they wanted to. They lose both pistols. They try to make it in that first half, and then it's just not enough. But I think for that second map of Sunset, things might change over.
Well, yeah, I mean, QOR haven't had the chance to play this map in Challengers yet. But like Shift pointed out, in the pre-game, they played it like 3 times in the qualifiers, in that second sort of qualifier itself. And they did really well. They didn't lose map on it. Again, a distinct difference in quality of competition here. But I'd say a lot of teams are trying to avoid taking them to Sunset in general, because they're probably just like data darreling and having a look at, you know, like the map history that they sort of had. YFP, we have Challengers data. It's not the most compelling. It's like, it's a rather grindy sort of 13-10 against Together We Are Terrific. These teams play pretty similar compositions, right? They both obviously really want to try and leverage the breach as much as possible, the breach cipher setup. So don't expect to see any huge differences there. But just on virtue of how they're playing today, YFP are reactive, not proactive. They're sluggish, and it looks like they're being caught by surprise a hell of a lot.
Yeah, and that can't be the case because, I mean, more often than not, they're the ones selecting this map, it looks like, just kind of looking at their history, and so that means they're often starting on the offense, which, to be fair, has been their more successful side. But I think the thing about it is the overall decision-making just has not been as convincing as you would need to see, and it feels like QOR just getting away with things that they really should not have. Now, again, different map, different set of series coming up here with what still remains, but I still feel like, just based on what we saw trending in the first map, those are things that we can carry into a map like Sunset. And if you're getting a little shaky, not really being able to stand on what your play is supposed to be to execute towards sites, I don't see that getting any easier moving in towards Sunset. In fact, it may become more complicated, because you have to use the middle of the map if you want to find tremendous amounts of success towards being able to find good entry on towards either of these two sites. On top of that, post plants have to be locked in, and that commitment to either play very retroactive to where you're playing really passive, or trying to play forward to contest the retake right at the doors, you have to commit to that one way or the other. Often we see teams fully just based on the fact that they don't really make a decision on one side or the other. Don't care what you do, just make a decision on which is going to be here in this map.
Especially because a map of Sunset, Sunset to me is so unique because you see teams dominating on the attacking side, and then you see other teams dominating on the defensive side, right? There's not a clear winner when it comes to what side is best. It really depends on how those compositions shape up and how those micro plays really shape up. And again, Core, they haven't played it in that week number 1, week number 2, but they had played it before. I wouldn't be surprised if we see any sort of change come through from that. But on the other side, YFP have played this composition of the Raze and the Cypher, and that is the early composition over that we saw on this map. It was the one that people were running the most, and the one that now is starting to change a little bit. The Cypher trips, yeah, they're unbreakable, but then you have a Raze is throwing the paint shells, is throwing the satchel, is breaking those, and so that defense that you would think is going to be really strong ends up being very weak. So there's that possibility of seeing that today.
Yeah, you do have like strong one-ways for Cypher, especially on the B side. Like that cyber cage coming out of B main is like really annoying. It's very sort of hard to clear. So you probably still see him be a factor, and also like your cam spots on this map are pretty effective, right? You can sort of get a lot of info there. So I'd be surprised to see teams trend away from that. I mean, God, I remember watching the sort of the Chinese VALORANT when this map first came out, and we saw everything. We saw like Fade, we saw like so much Viper. Like,
Pacific is also.
Yeah, it's super out there. So I'm expecting these more like standard looks, right? And I want to see like defending teams funnel attackers in the mid, play up close on the extremities, just like Core did on Ascent, right? This is actually a map where NRG, for example, in kickoff played double operator, or gave the operator over to Marved and had him play up really close in A main, right? This is a great map for that. Funnel them into mid and then catch them as they try and rotate into market or mess around in tiles. So that's something that I really think the Core are going to gravitate towards, because they really did that very well on Ascent in general. They dominated the extremities.
And they should, but that also is going to depend a lot on them dominating early into those rounds to be able to, first of all, afford those two operators, but feel the confidence of those two operators across the two extremities to get the value. Now, we're going to see if there's going to be any change, or it's going to be about the same as we jump into the agent select of the second map of Sunset between Core and YFP. Again, Core has the upper hand. They won that map number 1, and now we get the chance to see how this map 2 is going to look like.
Okay, so sorry to cut you off, but Core are mixing it up just a little bit here. Very different comp to what we expect to see. Well, I've seen teams dabble with the Viper, right? There are some, very reasonable walls you can set up on defense, try and cut off mid. The Sage, though, I mean, that is an interesting choice on this map. I think that is the best way I can put it. You can do some nonsense stuff on this A site with like Sage wall boost. It's a bit absurd. But in general, yeah, this is not what you expect to see, and Snarly is going to be picking that up. So it's just that single initiator look here. Okay. My interest is peaked.
Yeah, I think, just to kind of give a small prediction here in terms of what you do and why you do this, is you're trying to set a very, very, very early tone into the fact that defensively, you're not going to allow YFP to get free entry anywhere. Slow orbs could be devastating towards these choke points in front of the sites. The barrier orb could be used actually to pretty great effect, you would think, to block off one side of the site or the other, to either force a plant to where the offense doesn't want to go, or to make the retake a little bit easier to decide on how they want to approach these sites. So it'll be the Sage towards A to start. This is also, again, in combination of how does Ziff choose to set up all of his utility, because you would assume that this would largely be mostly a B Viper, just based on kind of the choke points that are available to them. Yeah, I imagine that wall right there is the one that we're going to see pretty much the entirety of the game. It just comes down to how aggressive does this Core defense want to get at A, because a barrier orb and a slow orb right at A main can essentially make A a non-factor for YFP and force them into Ziff's utility eventually.
There's also some ridiculous boosts you can do with Sage on this map. Like top of A site, you boost someone up with the wall and they can see top mid as an attacker, right? Like anyone coming through A link, it's just disgusting. Paper Rex, thanks for that, guys. Appreciate it. Yeah. All right, here comes Penny. Satchel onto the site. Won't be able to clear that recon early enough. Ziff knows what's coming. Back way through the smoke here. And fan out a little bit and play through Boba.
This is already a little bit of a hint to what we're going to get, though. Just Core wants to contest these spike plants, and then the retract back from Snarly, perfect, gets one, and the barrier orb shuts down the play completely. So you play recovery, you make sure mid is safe, and then you just get back onto your numbers winning ways if you're Core. I think that this is going to be a trend that we're going to see pretty regularly to how Core want to play this defensive half.
Zeldris one weight off. That safe ball doesn't slow.
Whoa.
YFP down for very long. Nicely done, Bones. Shot towards the site is good. Now, there's very limited A-Link oversight here. You do at least have Thief watching it. But because of that wall, yeah, most of course set up over towards spawn here. And you can't imagine Jonah's going to be that interested in pushing up on this.
No, this is already an angle that is very difficult to deal with. Poison Cloud over the top, Smoke also to follow with the Recon Bolt, but the fault line's right there to delay a little bit further. Gives Jonah a little bit of an isolated 1v multiple, which he only takes down one to be fair, so still a chance here for Core.
Zip though. Gonna run into Penny. Awful quick, but Penny gets taken off the angle, and Zip is able to capitalize. My goodness. T-Dog again, continuing the trend from the last map. Stunning work from Core. Great way to get off to the right start with a pistol win.
And a great isolation onto an angle that Jonah 6 could have just destroyed that entire retake setup. I mean, he was in such a good spot. The cyber cages were delaying and delaying and delaying. And then you get the fault line to follow, which actually connects on to two different players. It's just they get across just fast enough to avoid Jonah 6, in which case he's got a 1v3 situation. Because initially, once you kind of had that rotation back through A at mid, and you had the plant going down, and you think, oh, he's dead to rights, and that kill doesn't come through, you think YFP's post plant would be enough, but not to beat. Good collection, good isolation from Core on their retake. And a different look here on the anti-eco round, as it'll be both Sentinel players, essentially. I call it Sentinel because, let's be honest, Ziff isn't going to be moving too far, are going to be playing up towards B, and this is why you're playing off the Outlaw, and that works for first blood.
I'm telling you, control that extremity, right? That is the kind of, you can take a more aggressive one now, like Snarly has now assumed. But this is really how you shut down a lot of this early action. Again, it is an anti-eco round. And of course, YFP respecting the Outlaw potential have not tried to bring it up.
Paint Shell's getting a little bit pushed, but T-Dog's right there. Uh-oh, that could be dangerous. Yep. Right at the feet, and that'll be 4 for T-Dog. Yeah, you're absolutely right, though. And this is kind of what, maybe you framed it up just a bit better than I did, but when you look at a Viper and a Sage combination, you have the ability of getting, your defense up an extra layer than like we've seen with like Deadlock, for instance, from a couple of teams where they try to play off of like read and react situations. Kind of the same thing we see from things like the Cypher, where you're just kind of waiting until your spy cam gets a read. There's no waiting here. Core is very aggressively setting the line of scrimmage with this double of play with the Viper and Sage, and again, it allows them to 3-man stack somewhere else. Fault line at the ready could be dangerous, though. It's primed in a perfect spot.
Yeah, this could be trouble. Okay, 2 players hit with that, but still Zeldris finds the one and able to get away with it. The other 2 players were not in a position to help at all. An absolute freebie on a bonus.
Yeah, that's just the Zeldris difference, eh? I mean, that just kind of, yikes. I mean, it's one of those situations, too, where I would have to re-look at it back, but why is YFP not fully committing behind that double satchel play from Penny? They're all just kind of sat in the corner like, oh, this dark cover is so dangerous. I don't know. Now the Outlaw is up and ready to go for the read on mid. You get a shoulder here, you do. Yep. That's enough for an extra tag.
Big damage now. Shadows traveling. YFP being forced to play towards A, but Nerve can deploy this one way. Aldrone to try and break this. Nerve hoping he could hold the angle, but that's not an option now. Trying to hop, skip, jump away. He does avoid this phalanx of YFP players now, who are priced into hitting this A side and full committing. Yep. 2 players embedded already here for Core. Nerve on the corner. Physic takes a bit of damage. Watch out for that aftershock. Oh my goodness, Core getting away with utter bloody murder. And now it's Thief to try and work out of halls. They at least have the player on towards A-Link, but I don't know, Alan. That was rough.
No. Yeah, it's just, and there's no utility there, by the way, for the Sova or the Omen and T-Dog and Nerve. They just had to play their lives, and that was a masterclass on how to do so, using a little bit of your enemy's utility to kind of sneak into some smokes, extend your life a little bit, allows an opportunity for the defense to rotate over. Do you see the immediate trade that comes through right here from Zeldris? Perfectly utilized, just to make sure you're not overstepping. Just wait for the contact, then confirm the kill. But yeah, it's another one of those moments that Core is just not allowing the spike to get planted. It's a very different look than Ascent, to be fair, but it's one that this composition is built for, and off of a bonus win, now they get the upgrades essentially for free into rifles, and it's YFP back to Stingers and Sheriffs, not what you want.
Hearing that all come down, it's instant mid-control. Look at YFP shuttle himself straight up the top.
Careful.
Getting his weaponry. Requires they close the gap.
Love this.
Oh, buddy, that's beautiful. Snarly also knows there's some action top mid. There's a slow walk thrown out there. He only gets 1, but no chance to recover a weapon yet. The pressure is too much. Nice satchel break. The crosshair placement by Penny. Well, main core might have to slow it down just a little.
No, they got the spike down at B main, which is enough, you would think, but I have to give a lot of credit to Core. They are playing this composition absolutely perfectly. You shut down the door at mid, you slow orbit just in case someone breaks through. You know, though, when you make that play, that you're giving up mid completely. And they get a perfect read of it. You see where the two defender X's are in the minimap right now. They try to get really deep in towards their spawn. The Hunter's Fury also came through to cut out that mid connector. And it's just, everything is covered, even when it's quote unquote not. So Penny steps up and, oh, maybe, hold on a second, creates a chance. Don't sleep on him. I know a lot of health, but one shot from either the Sheriff or the Vandal could work out.
Player standing.
If now be Jonah. Jonah was just a little too low on health. So I like the idea, set it up there with that neural theft. Penny gets a lot more than he probably expects to walk into that round with.
Absolutely.
But money in a decent spot here for Core, so they're unperturbed, and YFP now at least have another chance to buy up some slower rounds. But YFP definitely getting stonewalled as they try and hit these sites again. It's much the same story. Where are the plants at?
Yep. And this is a round right here where we need to see some sort of an adjustment for YFP. And this is where I was, again, going back 2 rounds ago. If you're going to try to get an aggressive play from Penny to like satchel across this barrier to try to break the timing of the defense, everyone needs to be here. Everyone needs to commit to this, and finally they will. So it'll be a play through elbow to clear with a showstopper, and it's going to have to be a retake for Core. No ultimates available at the moment, though.
At least completely off the site. Spike going down. Now the T-Dog, sorry, that was through smoke if I'm not mistaken. One way off the angle as well. Thief gets brought down for absolutely free, and here again, some cheeky walls for Zeldris, and yeah, there's no way you're ready for that. Physic falls. Showstopper at the ready, but there might not be any targets left for it. Oh yeah, Jonah will settle for that apparently. Zeldris finds it. It's up to Bones in a 1v3.
Yeah, it's no chance. For a second there, I'm not gonna lie, just like the selfishness of me as a Valorant viewer was hoping he was gonna rocket from the top of the boost to see if he like breaks the skybox. Like he would have been up there, my guy. But no, it's another one of those reads that for Core, you get the call out, you hear the double satchel charge, you're not really in a position to where, again, you're electing to not play forward on the A side of the map. So again, you just kind of count your chickens before they hatch, and you say, okay, let's play full retake. No ultimates at the ready initially, but like you mentioned, the pre-fire smoke is a bit of a blessing, but the boost over the top is a nice contestable spot to really showcase the potential power of this Sage. Looks well prepared from Core.
Yeah, again, you need the Sage and Omen, right? Omen TPs onto the boxes, Sage throws the wall under him. And obviously, you have an offensive variation of this wall that happens over on the A side itself. So you have this available to you on both sides of the map. It's extremely troll. And YFP, they're not called a timeout because they're not expecting that. They know exactly what they're walking into when they see the Sage being picked here, but it doesn't matter. I mean, it's not an angle that you'd normally place your crosshair at. And you're always shocked, I think, by just how much the defender can actually see of the site itself.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's really hard to bounce back from that one. And again, that's another gun round down the gurgler for YFP.
Yeah, there's high-low setups, and then there's higher and lower setups in terms of playing with elevation. Yeah, the thing about it is, it feels like Ascent all over again, where it's just like, we're just one-dimensionally hitting things. We're not really causing any concern where Core have to stretch this defense out. And the fact of the matter is, Sage's not a new character. I know you guys all know that in chat. Make her spend her utility, and then she becomes essentially useless. But we're not really seeing any forced hands for YFP to where the slow orbs have to be placed, the barrier orbs have to be placed. Like, bleed them from utility and make these rounds a little easier on yourself.
Classic Zeldris right there. Tries to jump ahead of the fault line and almost gets killed. Penny, 145 there. Or maybe around the 120. Makes much more sense. Body shots. There's the one way. Nerve hoping it's going to slow things down just a little bit here. A lot of info here. T-Dog very quickly able to get out of the rolling thunder. Nerve. He's able to explode here. The Sage is also going to be in position. Nice paranoia though. That really disrupts things, and Jonah and Thief will capitalize.
Absolutely perfectly played for YFP. Shock Dart will at least confirm another. T-Dog may be the best Shock Dart player that we have in North America. Creates an opportunity. Oh my goodness, and he gets a little bit of a tag. Hold on a second. Just don't die to the snake bite. Okay, 1v1 delayed. Long range versus short range, but the health pools are mismanaged, and Bones is just playing in the backside of the site.
No U2 left for T-Dog here. Sees the swing. Might have to be through the corner of the box here. Wow, great peek. Gets all the information he needs about where Bones is gone. Play close, perhaps? Yeah, really trying to defeat any crosshair placement, but Bones has a very good weapon for the old run and gun, apparently. YFP finally get one on the board. Get themselves a Vandal as well. And hey, winning an eco round, nothing to sneer at.
No, not at all. It could definitely start to kind of get this thing back to within grips, but here's that look at the perfect utility, the paranoia, no one can see anything, the aftershock to follow, and T-Dog still nearly able to bring it back. And all three of those kills are really, really, really well found, but the information surely tallied that he was at low HP and a really good reposition from Bones. Just, even though you're at a longer angle with the Stinger, all you need is one bullet to connect. Just make sure you don't get blindsided trying to check for any nonsense with any toggles of the spike diffuse, as now we'll get an early barrier orb angle with the operator through mid, but nothing's home, and YFP have stacked the box looking to break on in towards B.
Gets punished there. Penny able to again capitalize on the Owl drone. Maybe they don't expect a swing from it so quickly. The operator angle, of course, utterly defeated by that Soviet util. Penny's able to move up deep into the site. This is about as much as you can scale up here on B. Penny hoping it's going to be enough.
Yeah, and QOR would need to find a pick first, likely before they even try to commit to this, if I'm being honest. Owl drone denied. Nerve stuck in the corner. Boombot will make sure he stays there at least a little while longer. Fault line also in the mix, and well, T-Dog does get one. Teleport away is decent, and a little bit of extra damage starting to be tallied here. This is a hell of an opportunity. Zeldris is behind the play, but YFP catch wind of him, find the elimination. That's 2 in a row for him.
Stringing them together, that's a big deal. YFP finally carve out a staging ground here and can keep the guns coming. Was that an Odin buy briefly there by Penny? Not sure what the plan is there. Maybe physics to benefit. But again, we have not seen this res used by Snarly yet either. I guess it can be hard on defense to find value out of that ultimate, but it is in hand.
Yeah, it's one of those that's like either someone just gets kind of awkwardly picked across the map, or you use it as a way to maybe sustain any early antics towards aggressive pushes to where you can maybe win an elimination and then push YFP off an angle. But yeah, you think the window to use the res is not all that widely available, especially in round 3, just have Sheriff. So it's gonna have to be some heroic connections here for QOR, as YFP will be very diligent about making sure they clear all these angles, not to be caught by surprise.
This one gonna drag out a little bit, as you're right. Due diligence will be carried out by YFP. The last thing they need now is this little burgeoning streak to be interrupted. At the very least, T-Dog, I mean, he's the one you want with the pistol in his hands on a round like this. I'll give you that for free. He will be taking contact now from a link in this Owl drone. Yes, reveal the secrets of YFP. Here comes a rotate from B, but it's not going to be quick enough. No way. B for the TP on the side here.
This is an expensive round, Mitch. I mean, Showstopper in. You're using a lot just to essentially guarantee yourself a site that you pretty much 75% of the way already cleared by way of the Soviet utility. But just wanted to make sure they cross the T's, dot the I's, and use the proper black ink here to secure this round. Attempt for QOR is going to be mostly a flood. Penny going to get a decent read on all of this. Paranoia will also largely miss. Hunter's Fury a bit desperate here for T-Dog, but he does make this a bit more sizable with a couple of health pulls being tallied down a little.
Time is of the essence now, though. From A-Link, Zeldris is there. Is the swing good? No, he's not able to follow up on that at all. Fault line will force him away. Bones is hungry. And he'll get his just desserts.
Yeah, I was surprised with the Showstopper, even more surprised than the Hunter's Fury from the defensive side. Just didn't really feel like a round that was A, winnable, B, you were really going to do much damage economically. And especially from the QOR perspective on that late Hunter's Fury after the first 2 kills were already tallied. But again, I feel like, you know, it was one of those conversation points. T-Dog, especially in Challengers now, may be one of the best Sovas we've got. I mean, it just feels like he's always hitting with his utility.
Oh, this is a nice spot.
But not to be 3 rounds in a row, and now all of a sudden you kind of throw the conversation immediately into the face of QOR of what do you do to adjust all of a sudden? As, again, we're seeing Penny just get aggressive, take away angles, and they nearly catch Nerve, who's still being hunted down by the Hunter's Fury, but instead that will be used to tally the elimination onto Zeldris for first blood.
Huge pick up there. Yeah, Showstopper being used by Penny twice for nothing, right? It's really just to secure this post-plant situation.
Sure.
Situations like that, Penny's more than happy just to get the space to work with. All right, they're going to be Spotted out here by this recon. Paranoia also came in. Core now starting to close the grip on them a little more. From A-Link, Snarly trying to make the swing around, but now only 2 left. Good back for Snarly on that push. T-Dog good for 1. And it'll be Ziff now in the 1 versus 2, and Thief is a little too canny for that. YFP stacking them up 4 in a row. And, you know, real quickly, I do find this pattern can emerge a lot on Sunset, and it always felt to me quite a swingy map. And that was definitely the case, I think, when we saw it from YFP against TWT, I think.
Yeah. In this core timeout, just to kind of go back to the framing of it, in the previous round, YFP is just breaking these aggressive defensive timings. And Core's going to have to make a decision of, do we stack an extra member and try to really force the issue up close and personal? Otherwise, if we decide to say, okay, that's a battle we're not going to win, do we just back off and play retake? But if you do, how do we find value out of the Sage and the Viper if we're playing pure retake from the back of sites? Because your ability to clear space once you've already got your Viper utility placed is essentially null. You just don't really have an opportunity to do that with any sort of confidence. So I would be curious to see if this is going to be one of those moments where we just kind of meet fire with fire and we see that typical Zeldris double satchel play to try to match what Petty's been doing here over at A. Or do they just give it up almost completely, try to keep Nerve alive a little while longer, who's been first blooded in the last couple of rounds, and use it as a retake tool?
I'll put it like this. You want to retake? How many flashes do you have?
Well, none, yeah.
Right. So no.
I mean, Paranoia, if you want to call Paranoia flash, which I don't, but
conditionally, yeah, I mean, that's the problem, right? Getting forced off site into retake. Now, normally, Core are very good at not allowing that to happen. They will hold their ground, right? Zeldris will even swing out of A halls and take a fight into 3 players. But rounds where there's a showstopper, there's just no EV on staying on the site.
Yeah.
When, you hear the raise come. So Core here, low on flashes, and that will be something we'll address when they get on the attacking side. Because 5 defense rounds is okay, but you're running the Sentinel comp. You're hoping for more.
Yep, absolutely you are. It's still not out of grips. I think a 7-5 would be fine for either team's perspective, for what it's worth. More so for YFP finding them, all in a row. But yeah, this retake could be really hard pressed to find much. You think with just sheriffs, someone's gonna have to hit a shot, as is often the case when you're dealing with an eco like this. Yeah, good Paranoia just kind of cuts across market. Rolling Thunder spent. Wow, I mean, you want to talk about YFP giving a lot of respect to Core. You're seeing it. Penny gonna get isolated a little bit here, but the shot's just not connecting quickly enough, and this is taking a lot of time, Mitch.
Absolutely, it's dragging out, and again, Core aren't working with exactly the most high-tech weaponry. Just the pistols and nothing more, so make it a bit more costly for YFP, but we'll be surrendering yet another round over to them. Core again still sitting on a lot of these ultimates, but haven't had much of a chance to use them. These fast hits are starting to catch them off guard.
Yep. And this is the round we're going to figure out what was talked about in that timeout. Are we going to overload something here to try to contest? And I think if you were to wager, you'd wager that's going to be happening over towards A, because Ziff really has been pretty comfortable towards B. I mean, largely speaking, there hasn't been too much contact through B main, but we'll see. Viper Spit at the ready is going to be used almost immediately. Does Zeldris try to pop something with the showstopper to control A as well? No. Instead, it's Penny immediately through market and all the utility. This should be enough heads up for Core. I mean, that's a lot of offensive utility spent towards market. They should know there's a quick play here.
And they are not able to respond in a speedy fashion whatsoever. Penny's gotten in, cat amongst the pigeons. Nerves at least able to trade that out, and the Paranoia as well. Play some spot bones and have an easy challenge there. This is big. A moment now where Core can stabilize. They have a showstopper should they need it. Ziff makes the swing, and it is good. Core are back in business.
Yeah, that's really good awareness from Core. Sure, T-Dog gets caught, but I mean, you could definitely tell that Core were very aware of the potential of that quick hit through market for YFP, and the trade is more than enough. Sure, you have to vacate the premise when it comes down to the Viper's Pit, but largely speaking, everything okay. Rez will come through to bring T-Dog back into action as the showstopper doesn't even get pulled for a trigger. Zeldris gets taken out of the picture immediately, but the Aldrin will follow up with a full belt of utility for T-Dog. That should surely be enough to find Thief for the trade, and it will be.
Zeldris is trying to throw whatever he can at the wall and see what sticks here. Quite a few of these satchel plays have been shut down very quickly. YFP have just been ultra vigilant in sort of mitigating that, and well, Zeldris definitely made use of the showstopper. Just never had a chance to bring it to bear. I mean, this is normally devastating, right? But that flash follow-up, the Paranoia follow-up there towards market for Nerve, I think, to set up the second kill. That was absolutely beautiful. Great awareness.
And a good call from QOR, just kind of vacating B completely. I feel like a lot of Vipers would be a little bit rigid in their ways. Be like, well, I popped my ult, so I'm just going to stay in it. But it just puts you in a really isolated position. So good track back, kind of tactful retreat from QOR to give themselves a fighting chance. Full gun round here, last of the half. And you will see a different setup here for QOR. They're, instead of getting Zeldris super aggressive towards the front doors, they're going to play him in kind of a 1-for-1 angle with a double stack to maybe confirm his trade, depending on what T-Dog gets with his Aldrone. And there's the barrier orb. I was wondering if we were going to see this any point in time. It reinforces, but it's only a mere distraction. Creates a bit of a tighter choke point, and Zeldris will follow up with the paint shells, which is dealing a pretty significant amount of damage, to be fair.
I mean, it forced Physics to candle the Aldrone.
Yeah.
He had that Aldrone out, had to pull the plug on that one. Otherwise, you know, there's far too much health already. I mean, he lost all of his armor to that paint shot and some HP on top. So nice looks here for QOR. Fault line, Zeldris able to get away.
And there's a different type of contest here for QOR. Not taking at the front door, pulling a little bit further back. No one's getting caught. Showstopper was short. Penny doesn't get it all the way there. And now T-Dog through the dark cover will find a second. Oh, what a miscue for YFP. The hit looked so good through the backside of elbow, but from the front door it gets shut down, and now they're stuck on site.
Spike down.
And it should be good for the half here, unless something special can be brought out of Thief. 2 angles to cover, but turns him into 1 versus 1s. Love that look. TP available. Snarly making enough noise to wake the dead, as intended to cover the approach from A-Link. Thief with 26 HP now in a position to equalize things before the half. Ziff is fully healthy, and a snake bite as well. But it doesn't matter. Thief's just a little better. 4 kills, and YFP even heading into the break.
Oh my goodness! That is a disgusting 1v multiple. I mean, it really breaks into a point where QOR get the full surround. They have got the last 2 members of YFP trapped on site, but they all peek individually, and then a little bit of a toggle as the time is expiring. Catches Ziff out. He's trying to see if the stick is going to be there for the plant, but wow, the ice in the veins for Thief. That is disgusting. And what looked surely to be a 7-5 turns into 6 of the last 7. Unreal stuff, as YFP will swap back to the defense with a chance to possibly take an edge.
And then we get a chance to see how the double controller setup performs on the defensive half of the map, especially bearing in mind there's a Sage on the attacker side, excuse me. Sage to set up some of those cheeky walls, some of which we've already seen. The full mid stack for QOR though, daring YFP to swing that smoke and give him a challenge.
And just to set the early pattern here, well, let's wait on this for a moment. There's going to be action here with backside mid. A full push through around the back, in fact, even exchange for now, but YFP's defense well to react. And what I was going to say is, you know, QOR's biggest struggle here is just to get the spike planted. Once they do, and if, let's just say plainly, if Snarly stays alive, their post plant is going to be super hard to break. But it's kind of, again, 6 of one, half a dozen of another. With no flashes, not a lot of information gathering tools outside of T-Dog. QOR's going to have to really have something brewed up here to get onto site in the first place.
Did spotted here, backing away from A-Link now as the hungry YFP squad are prowling. Spike's still down, bear in mind. Obviously, QOR will be tantalizingly out of reach of it. Smoke's getting deployed here eventually through the smoke.
30 seconds
YFP
left.
are going to find their quarries.
Yeah. That's, it's just, I really hope that YFP are aware of their essential need to have to play forward and stop QOR from getting free entry towards site. They have to be proactive here. Because if QOR can get the spike planted behind things like slow orbs and barrier orbs, their chances at successfully finding retakes, even with good breach utility, is going to be really, really hard pressed, just because of the ability for Sage to dictate and know exactly where the most amount of value is going to come out of things like slow orbs and barriers, is just being able to completely break down these sites. So in my mind, YFP have to stay aggressive and proactive here on the defensive side. They cannot allow free entryway to either of these 2 sites.
Ironically, that was the same directive that Core Gaming had, because they just didn't have any flashes, right, to facilitate a retake. So both teams, for different reasons, not both just compositional, will have to try and be a bit more proactive here defensively. Obviously, this singular Cypher site will not be a forward hold. Johnny gets plenty of information here. Not only the rotate's getting pulled over, the local at A kept a couple of players over there.
This is what I mean, Mitch. It's just, you get an entryway, you get the barrier orb down, you get the free plants, like Icebox, old Icebox all over again.
Yeah, poison orb now on the spike itself. The defenders now pretty much all ready to go. We're going to have the Omen of Thief into market. This could be quite illuminating for Physic. A lot of players stacked up at the top of lobby. They must have some lineups here. Bones going for it. Halves it. Okay. Good job done. Unreal. Unreal core set up. Like, what is... Use it. Yeah. That did not play it the way I thought it would, really. Like, YFP able just to walk up there and get the job done. They just flooded into B main.
Yeah, it's just a simple byproduct of the snake bites not getting placed soon enough. That's a retake that is made easier by the fact that it's just essentially basic pistols for Core. The fact that they still got the spike planted and found 3 kills, though, I think is still fine. I don't think Core's gonna be upset about that. But that is something to keep in mind, that for Core, you can't just get it planted and then hope that snake bites are enough. Like, you're gonna have to keep an eye on the site as you continue to move forward. But that execution, keep mental note of that, friends, because that's exactly what Core are going to be tempted to do time and time again, is try to find a way to get a free look at the site, put the barrier orb down, immediately follow up with a plant, and they're primed and ready to do that again here at B.
We used to see this in B main split as well for a time. The site on that map was a go-to. Soldiers here, just making sure all the corners are checked before this spike starts to come down. No util left on the raise. Able to play ahead of that aftershock here, and Blue's able to find T-Dog. Oh, goodness. Yeah, the spike planter eventually gets caught out by that, but he sticks it. Gonna be a 4v5 post plant.
Oh, Ziff pushing through mid, did not see the footsteps of Thief coming around the back, so the hit is going to be pretty amassed here for YFP on the retake. But again, the problems of the barrier orb continue to be there. Starling just holding through it, creating his own choke point, no worries, and then Ziff around the back. Very easy, very casual. 2 will drop. Aftershock finding some decent value, but again, this quick tempo from Core needs to be battled back against, and you cannot just assume that it's going to be Penny. He can't just be satchel charging forward into potentially 5 players every single round. There needs to be something offered from YFP defensively to stall out this quick Core push.
And this local continually pulling players over, right? We cannot really see a side stack. Because otherwise, I mean, YFP give up way too much information, especially with info being obscured at the A site as it is. But they made the right call here. 3 players at A for YFP.
And I mean, it's even on top of that, you're getting early utility investment from Physic. That seems to be maybe the go call right now for YFP in terms of how they want to contest. Throw everything. Throw the Aldrin, throw the Recon Bolt. Oh, bold selection here from Penny. Nearly gets away with it, but once more, too many numbers. It's not quite what we laid out, but in essence, kind of the same thing where Penny just tries to get aggressive, sneaks something away, gets punished. And now I just don't know how you challenge this if you're YFP. There's just no way.
Oh, okay, you swing it, apparently. Showstopper out of the picture here, it's still a trade. Snarly able to move up, and maybe we see like a wall even to cut off like A-Link or something similar. A lot of early warning, or that disgusting boost potentially. Fault line is good. T-Dog's caught out in the open, but the rest of the team is there to follow up. And this is looking ugly now for YFP as Core threatened to equalize. T-Dog falls back by the flashes. The Nova's going to be there. Bones gives a good account of himself, but in the 1v2, Jonah has a lot to make happen. And T-Dog simply takes a moment to avoid planting the spike and gets himself that kill.
Wow. That's a quick gut check call to drop the spike, pull the aim up and snap for a headshot. But you can already see, I don't know if we'll catch it in the replay at all, but as soon as the hit's underway, Snarly just throws a proactive slow orb, and it just keeps Bones out of the picture, who was starting to clean up from that inside angle at A. Got himself 2, but any opportunity to challenge the plant was taken away from him thanks to the slow orb that gets placed. It's just, it's a weird way of seeing it, but as soon as you get any of that main control for Core, their ability to convert that into a plant is going to be astronomically high, just thanks to the fact that Snarly's utility is going to find so much value thanks to the design of how these spike sites are laid out.
And now we're back to a default. So we just have the Viper lurking towards A here, trying to see what there is to see. Has another smoke out of the Omen just to refresh the one-way.
Spike drop.
Core have time to wait this out. They haven't really extended much into mid here. They definitely do seem to be A-biased on this approach, but here's an opportunity to play from tiles.
Take flight.
Question will be, I was about to say, is this one way going to get replaced? Because Ziff is on the angle hunting with that toxic screen up. Now the heal is in. Thief is thinking maybe he can catch up on a low HP, and he will. Headshot would have taken it at no matter what health he had, but
Can't get the rifle.
a decent exchange and maybe a chance to try to hold this angle a little while longer.
There's no opportunity, though, for Thief to move up and grab the rifle.
You
Apparently
will
just the
not
one kill
kill
and knowing
my
the only...
ally.
I see. Ziff brought back into the fold here.
Yeah.
Thief now ambling back towards his own spawn.
30
Well,
seconds
of course,
left.
to the cut out of the side here. Look at him, he doesn't want to leave. Paranoid, you're not going to catch anyone. Halls bereft of attackers. And that's probably why. Rolling Thunder thrown out. Zeldris getting the protection of the cyber cage, though. No opportunity for YFP to capitalize, but they can get into position here, Alan.
Oh, they're trying to break down the wall, but it gets reinforced at the exact right time. Knife is out. Hello?
Sorry.
Starling says not in my house. A little extra for his consideration, but boy, it got mixy. And once more, kind of like we had from a couple of rounds ago, it does force a re-trigger on the peak, but I'm just telling you, Mitch, this is going to feel like I'm legitimately beating a dead horse here with, if Core can get any main control, either A or B, it's going to lead to a plant every single time. It's just so hard to contest this, but YFP need to find a way to do it, and that way is almost by way of machete, surprisingly enough.
Funny how that's really been the theme of this series.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Struggling to get into any post-plant scenarios and Core forcing them. Basically, give them an inch and they'll be taking the entire site and setting up for really strong positions post-plant. We have a Viper's Pit too, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, it doesn't get any easier. I was just about to say, we talked about things like Harbor in the past, but Sage Viper with a Viper's Pit on this map is like a good luck, have fun. Thief timing. Oh my goodness. How does he not get more than this? Paranoia is out, and then he follows up. That is absolutely perfect. Absolutely perfect.
Phones? Stunning stuff. I mean, that was, you give up your life there for that recon.
Yes,
and
you do.
It's very illuminating in both senses of the word. And then it's a classic. A very straightforward combo. Fault line is pretty good when you have info.
That was filthy. But that's kind of what I want to start seeing from YFP, is to throw some set plays that look like that. Have your Cypher set up a little bit more aggressively, maybe with a little bit of support from any of the controllers. Keep your initiator around your Sova. Find ways to confirm info and then follow up on it.
Zeldris here, just in case there's a fast play towards tiles. They have a high-low setup for a time. It's gnarly ops to now head over towards these sides. So, Cypher Cam, all right. You can back away, wait that out, and maybe return here, or you wait to see what Ziff can rustle up over the A side.
Yeah, that was where I was going to go too, is can he pull anyone out? I mean, there's no reason for YFP to make any moves here, and you can even see they're playing some really passive counter smokes just to make sure that the front side of A stays safe, but they're really just relying on these cyber traps to potentially be defensive contestants. And yep, that'll be enough to not just, wow, that's actually great information. You know the Breach is playing through mid-map now. With the traps being down means the defenders at B have to stay home. And now you can kind of flood towards A. Good proactive from the shadows. This will alert YFP this is likely going to be an A hit.
Is it here? I think someone swings that, which they won't, because it turns into a one-way for the enemy, but I appreciate it. Really diligent. Oh, I think I know what this is. A bit of a Hunter's Fury follow-up.
30 seconds left.
Hey, gave Zeldris a bit of a tickle there. Maybe just a cut on the backside. Go and get him, champ. Bones eventually gets brought down. Deep now feeling pretty uncomfortable. And Penny just walks into a hail of bullets. Now it's on for Young and all, but Physics able to find two. That is massive. So low. Look at the damage on Zip and Nerve. This grouping up from Core makes some easy targets, but Physic now has to
10
do
seconds left.
the dirty. He's going to find the last three here. And he'll just run up onto the site. Ziff just eats that one. What are you doing? You have a shock dart. This is ridiculous. Physic gearing up for the ace. That is unbelievable. Oh my goodness, Physic. What a way to get YFP back in the action.
Hey.
The Sova freaking masterclass. Are you kidding me? I mean, the two off the Hunter's Fury is all a byproduct, honestly, of Penny staying alive as long as he had, because you know you can send this over towards the backside at elbow. And as soon as that hits, then all of a sudden you shock dart in the backside of the site, which is the only place that Core can plant, and then there's a little box finesse. Ho ho ho! Tee it up for the big fella. 5 in a row for YFP. Leads it to now a 10 count. and a flip of the eco almost on its head with extra tools, including the potential of Penny and a showstopper, which, to be fair, showstoppers haven't killed much in this map, but wow, what an unreal save.
QOR here now, trying to bait this orb take, punish him with a satchel from high and a swing from low. They're not going to get what they're looking for here. Looks like T-Dog had a bit of a poke around up at the top of tiles and come back with rather little. So QOR are going to have to manufacture another way to start to crack this shell of YFP open.
Yeah.
We've got to be feeling pretty bloody good about the way that round went.
Oh, I'll say. It gives them a little bit of freedom and a little bit of a cushion here as well, not just on the scoreboard, but economically, it builds a couple extra credits, and QOR are going to go right back over towards elbow side. All the Soviet utility used to kind of clear out the left side at A. At least that's the likely intention of it, but this will be a different look for how QOR get on towards site. Viper screen will fall, and likely a barrier will be placed in the back of the site. They have to clear this from the back to the front.
They've got to remember Thief. Yeah, he has the angle above that smoke. You've got to one-way it if you want to cut off the open TP play. Penny blasts off again. Takes a heck of a lot of damage on the drop, though. And again, none of that shield compromised as a result of it. It's far from done. YFP going to now head towards the site. The wall thrown up. Bit of a cone of silence to allow Snarly to get the plant down.
Yeah, good proactive snake bites as well, just to make sure no one can hop on it immediately. Bone still sneaks in, finds one, Snarly down, and honestly, the rest of the post plant is really far away. They have to rely on Ziff to delay this as long as humanly possible, because really no one else is nearby besides on a couple of pre-fire angles.
They're banking on spamming through this smoke. They're not going in there at all. Jonah finds Ziff. There comes the pit, and it's just Zeldris, who's had a quieter map. Needs to come alive here. Showstopper does its job. Show stopped, and QOR get themselves an even game.
Wow. That was really close to going awry, though. The showstopper, I won't say that it saves the round, but definitely makes it a bit easier without question. But YFP do a really nice job of kind of just keeping the isolation away. I mean, the first kill is great onto Snarly, but then finding Ziff inside, absolutely beautiful. It just kind of keeps that post plant so stretched out, and it's a bit surprising. I was really kind of caught off guard with QOR playing that spread apart. You know, trying to work through the backside of the defensive spawn, but they save it. It works out, and now YFP are back to pistols. And QOR will have kind of their pick of the litter in terms of how they want to get to work here. I figured this will look very similar to some of our earlier rounds where they just try to stack a box, either front side A, front side B, and then just get a barrier orb down, plant, and then force YFP to have to hit a lot of shots.
Yeah, I mean, the defenders, just a foray, just a brief sally. Physic here. Yeah, hoping to imply that someone's gotten embedded, maybe towards top tiles here. Or, as you would expect, are being really careful now not to turn a corner into a held angle by a sheriff.
Yeah. Well, mid's going to be a bit of an issue. And Jonah, the spy cam set up pretty nicely for it. Recon bolt, cyber cage, Jonah just bailing out. And, well, the camera stays in place here. A little bit of damage is not insignificant onto Jonah. Re-clear back towards main, and that'll be enough to get this plant down. And once more, with Snarly still up, it's going to be really difficult to retake this with just pistols.
There's that slow orb. Snarly takes a face full of damage, though. Spotline kind of used. Maybe this way, anyone pushing into this, but QOR have no intention of doing that. They will sit back. 4v2 here. Of course, the weaponry is horrendous for YFP, so it's all about getting some of these guns out of these cold, dead hands.
Yeah, T-Dog in the corner, not to be baited by that. He's double stacked and no fob up from both, so there's 11. And now we start to kind of shift forward a little bit on our seats, because the trends were really starting to get established early for QOR. The 2 rounds in 18 and 19, though, not to be slept on for the side of YFP. They did a really nice job of kind of controlling tempo and pace around the A side in particular. But do they trust enough in that setup that it's going to be enough to get back into another full gun round, especially with things like the Rolling Thunder at the ready? They're actually going to maybe use that as a chance to kind of retake B, and they're going to move their Sentinel setup of Jonah 6 over to A instead. So this is about controlling market for YFP, and maybe contesting the B hit with the Rolling Thunder before the spike can get planted.
Would be the first time we've seen Rolling Thunder aimed at market on the attacking side. YFP threw it out there so they could get their raise in behind it. Zeldris Yeah, maybe pinging. They know that, of course, this breach is lurking and looking for an opportunity to disrupt. Smoke top mid. This will give Snarly a wider angle on market if they wish to take it. Intentionally showing T-Dog there, bottom mid.
But really, QOR are really lacking information right now. They still don't know where anyone is. And more importantly, if there's a setup for the Cypher, that Aldrone will see there's no forward trap wire. But outside of that, they're really kind of empty for intel. And they may have to commit to joining over towards where Ziff is, playing through A elbow.
You just got the paranoia out for free. I mean, YFP didn't know how deep in mid core was set up. Here's the Omen TP towards A. You've cracked that one open. You've managed to drag enough action away. You've lost Eldris for it, though.
Yeah.
You better make it worth it.
Caught one.
It's just the lurk, though. It's not the end of the world for the setup with the reveal through the wall bang. Oh, absolutely beautifully put together. Now the Rolling Thunder comes out. That will stop the plant and extracts barrier or place, but the retake is already here. Brilliant setup for YFP, and it's working out aces so far.
Two players up in halls, and this one is looking pretty ugly now for QOR. Ziff will get just the one.
I hate
And all of a sudden, YFP get themselves one back. Thankfully for QOR, they get that previous round win as a chance to stabilize here. So they can probably still do quite a lot weapon-wise.
Yeah.
And I've been here before. They did this to me in week 1. It's like looking like a 2-0, and then there's overtime, and then it's going to be another map entirely. These guys are playing maximum Valorant today. I feel it.
Yeah, and again, the adjustments for YFP here in this second half have been so much better than we saw in map number 1 on Ascent. They're making a lot of considerations come through for QOR. I mean, that last round, it's simply by way of not giving away any intel. Don't reveal anyone. I mean, the Rolling Thunder was a key part of it for sure. Everyone stay back. We'll just retake with the Rolling Thunder, or at least contest the plant with the Rolling Thunder. You move Jonah over to the site that he's not often at, and QOR just don't get the read until they have to commit to something, and the only thing they have is Ziff kind of forward on elbow, but no ability to lurk. I mean, YFP have created a new issue here for QOR. Now, the thing about it is, are they going to overthink it? Because that whole setup was based off using the Rolling Thunder, which, of course, they don't have anymore. So do they get maybe too much in their heads and try to do something too dramatically different off this timeout? Because I still think the key to success is stack the front at either A or B, get the barrier orb down, just plant behind that, play your retake afterwards.
Cool, got a little cute last round. Embedding in mid, and then an Omen ultimate over towards the A site. That Cypher util absolutely unraveled the journey. The banger of a map so far.
Yeah.
Big part of what has kept this so close. Once more, we're up tiles with a smoke top mid. We want to put some pressure down here. I don't really know how interested Penny is in showing face presently.
He shouldn't be interested at all. I'll tell you that much. Just hold this just lock down this position. I mean, you've got Bones, who's going to be stretched. If there is a hit towards A, they're going to have to default to backing off the site and playing for retake without having flashes or fault lines. It's just going to be too hard, I think, for the Cypher and the Omen to hold. But Spy Cam delays things a little while longer. A lot of time taken off the clock here, Mitch. It's going to be a 5-man stack for QOR. As soon as this toxic screen goes back up, the hit will likely be underway.
You have no information. You have zero information right now outside of the fact that there was a Cypher cam towards A.
Yep.
In 47 seconds to amass a veritable dossier about the defenders. T-Dog sees a little bit with that AL drone here. It's a smoke towards spawn. They really want to encircle and capture this. Yep. Smoke at A-Link. Thief opts to push it as you would. Jonah hit by a flash there briefly. Nova the TP across. Pretty big Jonah. He's heard it though. Nova's going to be able to catch him out. Now into the wall. Spawn goes physic, but also that has been detected.
QOR just need to play post-plant at elbow here. There's just not any guaranteed way that YFP can clear this out. They've got 2 flashes which need to be used to clear out the front side of the site. Just don't get revealed, don't get flashed. Should be that easy, so to speak, for QOR. And yep, they are going to stack over towards this backside elbow and leave T-Dog up close just to try to play distraction.
Wall eventually comes down. Thief. God, no, there's a sage on the other side of it. Here comes the entry, though. YFP down to 2. It's going to be close. Charlie's there in the corner. They didn't check it. Any of the trigger discipline of an absolute Shaolin monk.
Oh my God.
They don't use weapons. They definitely don't have guns. But you know what I mean.
Dude, he's literally not just tucked in a corner. He's got his head between his legs because he doesn't want to get flashed. He was playing anti-flash the entire way. I don't know if we'll fully see it, and then the rest of it's just like, hey, how are you? How you doing?
Oh my god.
Oh man. That's ridiculous. And that's again the pull focus for Core, setting up a lot of that post plant towards the backside at A main. Or pardon me, at A elbow with the plant also set up for it. All the focus has to go that way. And they just don't look in the smallest of corners. That's unreal.
YFP may have kissed this series goodbye with that round. I mean, I saw a YFP player checking it. They looked there. They didn't fully commit to the check. Okay, Physic. Like this. Even the ledger a little bit now as T-Dog won't be allowed to escape. That is massive. Player advantage now for the defenders.
Well, they're going to res it, but it does cost the early expenditure of the resource. So it gets maybe, I don't know, you can pick in chat. Do you like the Hunter's Fury to kind of slow things down and keep information from being gathered, or is the res just more valuable back into an even 5v5 without the Hunter's Fury available, plus T-Dog's now ready?
Zeldris doesn't have any armor. What happened there?
That's a great question.
That's 1600. Okay, maybe playing for those. I'm not really sure. I don't know. Anyway, he gets absolutely flattened. Double satchel over towards the site. The YFP already 2 kills this round.
30 seconds left.
Now we see that Viper lurk getting a bit more brave with all the ruckus over at B.
Oh, they need to move this spike to somebody else and use this Hunter's Fury to clear out the rest of this A angle. This is bold, to say the least. And T-Dog drops. I mean, this whole angle that's being ran by Bones should have been cleared. I mean, you've got elbow control. Miscue there from Core. I think you got to drop spike, hit the Hunter's Fury with time dwindling to use it right down that main A corridor just to clear out the space and maybe just run it through elbow for a plant or run through your own Hunter's Fury for the plant. But they don't clear off the angle, and Core don't get baffled by that quote-unquote fake. It's just not enough information gathered, and YFP feast.
Handing over that overtime opportunity. Look at that, back and forth. Again, we discussed at the start of the show, we felt like these two teams were ostensibly on fairly even footing. Some of us, not naming names, predicted YFP to win the series. And then we saw how the first map went. And all of a sudden, we were very, very doubtful. But this sunset has been a real back and forth affair between these two. YFP have kept themselves in the game. We're off to OT.
And remember the trends. YFP have a little bit of issue dealing with the early contest from Core in these full gun rounds, and that continues to be the case. Decent trade, though. T-Dog out of the picture. Actually, the Sova out of the picture for both teams means that this is going to be down to just who finds the better entry, and will these flashes hit for Bones, who still has 2 flash points available.
Obviously, Snarly is able to play that Omen position. So obviously, 10's really used very common.
What?
Yeah, don't know how that happened. Penny able to find that one. Snarly, of course, with that off angle. Able to find the kill. Should be checking that anyway, I guess, because you're playing against an Omen, but YFP can't cover them all. They do have a post plant, though. Here comes a double swing, I think. A low setup. Oh, Zeldris! It's good. It's very good.
It's such a good idea, Mitch. For the first time on this map, YFP decide to play their post plant aggressive, but the paranoia comes out like a fraction of a second too late. And that high-low finds value, but still, Thief breaks the timing around the back. 1v1. Zeldris toggles again, but Thief, after the 5-man clutch from before, the 1v3 gets a 1v2 here, and YFP take the OT advantage.
This is huge. YFP now threatening to take us to another map, fighting back after, again, a very, very competitive regulation. I mean, Thief is such a perfect spot here, really. You cannot really double face him. You've got one player that's trying to wrap the other way around the pillar, the other giving the spike a tickle. Beautiful stuff. Thief has had a fantastic game.
So clutch. I mean, flat out. He's only gotten better since that ace 1v3 or whatever it was a couple of rounds back. So now Core, this is, wow, they're pulling a way different setup here. And this is, I think, a byproduct of them not getting any information on the outsides of the map. They're saying, well, then screw the outsides of the map. Let's try to force an odd man situation through mid.
Holding the angular top mid here. Again, we saw G2 just straight swing it when he was defending. Clearly a bit of emphasis on that part of the map for Core. In the market, the Aldrone gave up. Oh, Physic, yep. You get up mid, you give up mid, rather. And this is what you get. Oh, we're far from done here, Ella. We are far from done.
Yes, sir. And this isn't still done. I mean, this is still not done yet, though, in terms of this post plant. I mean, they've got good forward angles to clear out both the backside of B and over through B main, but, you know, Market could still provide a couple of angles for YFP. But it definitely feels a bit hard pressed, especially with slow orbs and barrier orbs in the way. Showstopper also earned. What? Excuse me?
Sorry?
What? Excuse me? Excuse me?
Unbelievable. Penny with 10 HP in a dream. Plot armor for this guy.
No.
And now in the post plant, off we are to the spike. T-Dog though with the spray is good. He's going to reload. That's all right. Nerve is going to be there with the other angle, and we are headed to some more overtime.
Switching sides.
Things that make you go,
Overtime.
like that 3v5 should have had no business finding that much success, but oh my. When Penny comes to shoot, you best get out of the way, tell you that much. I mean, wow. That must have gone over a shoulder.
Doesn't get much closer than that. That is ridiculous. Still, I mean, look, Core get that mid control. They use it this time. They take a risk. Someone could be watching either angle at the top of mid. In fact, YFP had given it up. Now, you're very conditioned if you're Core. You definitely want to sort of emphasize mid here, but we know YFP have really fancied this sort of slower setup and make sure your flashes all come at the right time. These executes. Hedwig having a look. Sees very little on the A side now. Of course, that work potential not available to you without Viper.
And I won't lie here, Mitch, this is where you start to really question how deep is the playbook here for YFP on the offensive side in particular, especially considering the issues they face in the first half. Again, in particular on gun rounds. And what has largely been YFP just kind of bursting through with sheer force of numbers. This will be a different look. They're not going to run into either this Sova or any of the utility from either of the quote-unquote Sentinels here. It's just down to what Nerve and what Zeldris can create timing-wise to give Core a chance to rotate over, because they're going to have to play retake most likely.
Yeah, giving up the side entirely. So this util. Just ornamentation here. Nerve has the angle, though. Again, can play above that smoke.
Spike planted.
One way also not bothering at all, but YFP, yeah, they read that well. Jonah has the angle already. This is a great start of the post plant here. Core now trying to group up with 3 players here at A Lincoln. Thief may have a timing on the last of them to filter through, but instead Zip is going through spawn. It's gonna have to be a double face from here on out. They'll just break the crosshair placement, but Penny, it's a beautiful correction. Just a trade. Zeldris now gonna have to go and give it a tickle in a 1v2. This is a tough job. 1v3 rather.
Like you could stop me.
Showstopper? Does that work? Yeah, sort of. 4 for Zeldris, but not enough to salvage.
Huge miscue from Core on the defensive setup. If you're going to be giving away the entirety of the A site to play for the retake, you have to have somebody watching over that top angle towards the backside of elbow. You cannot just allow Jonah just to run across like that. And then on top of that, find a kill for free, and then that gets replaced by Bones, who does the same thing. It just feels like there's no reason to not look that direction. You're trying to like cherry pick a kill on top of the A site, assuming they're going to push towards you. I'm not really sure what the idea there was, but you could see the focus was not at all towards that back elbow position. That turns into just a lot of free real estate for YFP once that kill is tallied. It's just so difficult for the reduced numbers to make their way through. Although Zeldris gave it one heck of a go. But in this back and forth affair that has been largely dominated by offenses, YFP will take their OT timeout right here to see what they can do to kind of maybe construct something different. Maybe even consider the fact that, hey, Core just walked right down mid last time around. Do we need to adjust that?
That's a huge question, right? I mean, they just did not have a player tasked with keeping an eye on that part of the map whatsoever.
None at all, yeah.
And I think they wanted to try and set themselves up to at least have good trade potential forward on either of these sites. Because as we've discussed over the course of this map, you let this Core composition in to the side. So hard to wrest it out of their hands. Here we go. One more for YFP to secure a W and take us to a third map. That could be a long one here. We'll see now, yeah, a bit more of a setup over towards the top of mid here. A couple of players peering in from YFP.
Keep in mind, we talked about this at the beginning of this matchup. This is a critical series for both of these two teams to get themselves a win and find their way up the group standings a little bit more so for Core at 0-2, but we already talked about these two teams and Thinking Men at the bottom of the group. Every match they play against each other is going to be a pivotal one. So lots of pressure, not just on this round, but on the series as a whole.
Recon there got time just as the smoke was dropping. And it was Zeldris lit. He's able to satchel away. Still has one remaining for when push comes to shove. But the looks of things, that's going to be over at B. A lot of space taken by Penny in mid here. This might be really crucial in sort of stopping a backstab potential. We're onto the side. Bones gets one drilled through his dome.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. And this is what we were talking about at the beginning of the offensive half for core. As soon as they get stacked up at main like that, so much utility can be dumped onto the site. Now you've got a actually delayed barrier orb to reinforce the hit through market. Snarly just needs to hold his ground here. He still has one more slow orb available. He can use that to kind of block off this choke point. Aldrone also saved, and yeah, this is such a problem for YFP. Chance for trade backs, but this is still a very significant post plant to try to break through.
In the market play, though, that's been pretty effective. No, re-smoking his position is they don't have vision. I wonder if they smoke that knowing that push is coming in from market straight away. Nerve is low, but hey, I've got the spam potential, and yeah, Jonah 6 realizes there's no getting out of this alive, and Core even it up once more. Overtime continues.
Switching sides.
Zeldris has been a walking 2K plus in these overtime rounds, by the way. He's earned his ultimate in every single OT round, I think.
Oh, I mean, yeah,
Nearly.
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. He's in that 1v2 and opts to pop it. That is a great point.
Yeah.
He's almost 30 frags to the name. What a time to come alive here as Core now decide to take a timeout. You guys, how many timeouts you guys have left? You surely have used those already. Come on, boys. We got some VALORANT to play.
Well, the issue's been these defensive sides for both these two teams. And outside of a couple of things that YFP were able to do on the end of their defensive half, kind of the same thing actually for both teams. Good adjustments, right? It's kind of slow. YFP able to slow down Core, but on the same front, Core had, kind of stopped giving away a couple of rounds, got us to those near moments near the end. And the question still stands with, not the extra ultimates available. These rounds become a little bit more egregious from the defensive side, just because think about how many of these trends defensively have been set up by things like showstoppers, Hunter's Furies. We're just not getting those anymore. Rolling Thunder retakes for YFP. And that happened 2 or 3 different times on their half, and now that's not available. So both teams are really kind of struggling to figure out what they want to do defensively to slow down these hits, which, to be fair, have been very aggressive and very successful in their opening executes.
Honestly, I feel like this is a scenario that favors Core. Like, their ultimates really are the focal point here. Whereas, with Rolling Thunder is so good at, interrupting these fast hits that Core are trying to pull off. And obviously, Neural Theft is extremely potent in its own right.
Difference here, though, Mitch. It's an aggressive recon bolt. Zeldris will get the orb, but he also owns the angle, so YFP will have to kind of give away their intentions with utility if they do want to approach A. It kind of is like an extra alarm system here, although, what to say? Zeldris saves a life because T-Dog on the corner was dead to rights with a perfect fault line satchel play, but from behind, Zeldris finds the kill. Trade over towards market, though, does create opportunities for YFP to keep this offense alive.
Clever from Nerve, though. He was lingering in the spawn for much of this round.
Yeah.
So he can still get to B, timely enough fashion, and this could be huge. Physic needs to wait. Needs to wait for Bones. Nerve with a swing. Jonah had the better angle by far. This is unreal, Ziv. He's in a position to backstab. The spike is going to go loose here. Surely 2 players fall. Devastating for YFP. And now T-Dog is coming to the rescue. Spike down. Snakebite here towards B main, and this is desperate for YFP.
Yeah, it is. T-Dog still got his recon bolt available now, so he can just send us right back over towards A main. As the shots come through, this is another little bit of gathering information. Jonah, his spidey senses tingling, though. If he could open up this kill, maybe there's a chance, but they have to spend the paranoia for it. Neural Theft called. 15 seconds, had to make a go as the spike gets planted.
Jonah just bailed him out of that big time. Able to spot a player and set up a Neural Theft play. He knows exactly where Core are coming from now. The double stack. It's going to be a trade. Jonah would fall for the round. One more to get it done. But Ziff cuts him off at the pass. And Core get themselves that defensive round. My God, they had to work for it.
Jeez, Jonah's just... He's in the flow state, my friend. I mean, that is an unbelievable read on Zeldris, timing-wise, coming to the backside of the site. That plus the quick teleport to get the spike, get back in, creates a chance. Then the Neural Theft gets earned. You get a full read on the quick retake, but it's a small 0.2 seconds worth of timing where he looks away.
Here.
And if he stays centered, I think he gets the ace and clutches. But this is where this isn't even where it started. It's where the problem became a little bit more egregious because the opening kill over towards A main is where it started. Zeldris saving a life could have been the difference maker early on, but wow, the heroics of Jonah nearly able to etch in another W. But we go back to now a core advantage for the first time.
To fair, obviously opting not to defuse, so the team has more time to talk. They've used their timeout here.
Yeah.
So let's go. Quick discussion about what's next. And then a defuse. Now, can Core get into one of these sites? You see the trips placed over at B by YFP are more to stop this aggressive scaling rather than prevent a site hit at all.
Same play, though, almost in a certain regard. YFP will just kind of walk up A main. That clears a lot of space. Sif will see this. This is a bit of a one-way screen. That does push them back, but of course, YFP, a little bit of a buffer here, knowing that there's no imminent hit towards A. Alert has to be fully focused here towards this B side as here comes the hit.
They're retaking. YFP, the setup for retake.
Have to.
Here come Core now. Zeldris were facing with the high-low setup. They're not ready for it. They're not ready for this at all. YFP explode, and Jonah already 2 to his name after 4 in the previous round. They put YFP back in striking distance one more. A 2v5 virtually unwinnable here. Not enough util for a post plant that's compelling. And it's going to be Zip in the 1v3, savory the previous round, but this is a lot to do. It's an awful lot. Happy attack there, getting to half. 1, 2. What? Are you kidding me, Zip?
Attackers.
How do you win a game like that? That is disgusting.
I thought that was close. You were only in my way.
That is disgusting.
Ha! No way. No way. That's the way that ends. No way. Are you kidding me? There should be no reason in the history of Valorant that a 1v3 goes like that when the fault line immediately flushes him out.
That is like Forsaken at Madrid level messed up. That doesn't make any sense. Oh my goodness. 3 players on the spike and the choke. I mean, you got to say the choke from YFP, that's going to hurt them. Ziff, 2 rounds in a row, saves Core's bacon and wins the map and series for them right there. Unreal.
I have just that there are so many things of that last round that's just like, I cannot believe it. I think first and foremost is the fact that Core get their plant, and then there's that moniker of it ain't broke, don't fix it. But instead of playing for just the constant spam of utility by playing a passive post plant at B main, they try to push through where YFP are like, oh, thank you very much. But that last 1v3, wow. That's got to have a couple of eyebrows raised. I know Dryad's probably sitting there just as jaw dropped as we are, but
I gotta say, I could not believe my eyes on that last round. You guys were saying it, right? Impossible. Pretty much impossible to win that round, and yet Civ just does it. It's the pressure, right? It's the pressure of the overtime. Every single time we went into the overtime, it was YFP winning the first round and Core winning the second round. This time around for the last one, things change. It's Core winning the first one. The pressure, and we get to see it again, is just everybody trying to swing, trying to catch a timing, and it's Civ just taking advantage of it, playing so patient, so clean, just a one tap, one after the other. What a way for Core to get on the board shift.
Bro, I've seen every reality. I know all the data points, and I've never seen anything like that. I would never have seen that coming.
You've seen everything. We can tell. We can tell.
Am I mistaken? Didn't he only have 36 HP in that 1v3?
He was started with like 80 odd and like a little bit of shield. But
so one bullet connected between 3 players shooting at it. Well, now 2 players shooting at it. Holy cow.
Just one. It's honestly
sorry, I'm
one of the craziest.
I'm not supposed to be working right now. Forgive me. Look, that is a very insane moment, but generally like a really compelling map here of 2 comps that have to tell 2 very different stories, right?
Big time.
I mean, the double controller setup is very, very good at really locking it down, and I think like Shift really highlighted this very well. It's that same like Icebox-esque approach of get a safe plant with a sage wall, and then have just like a really oppressive amount of utility, because it's not just your double controller, it's also the slow orbs. So it's all this like sort of control you have over the map there. There's a double initiator setup here. The post plant scenarios were crazy.
it was something that we didn't know how it was going to play out, right? Because it is core that changed this composition. They bring the Sage, they remove the Breach, and they play this Viper Sage that are new to the composition, especially compared to what we saw in the Open Qualifier. And we didn't know if it was going to be the crazy Sage rolls that we see for Paper Rex, or it was going to be maybe a little bit something more passive. We definitely went in the passive way of trying to secure some angles in different ways with the wall to make sure that you have more space to work with, that you at least deny that info, anything like that, step by step that Core was doing, and was doing really well. But on top of that, Snarly was just having an insane game in so many rounds. We saw Snarly having to clutch, having to hide in the corner and swing, get 2 kills, and Snarly was doing it every single time. I think this was such a good showing of Core, and the showing that we needed to see for this team.
Yeah, and I think just on top of that, both these two teams very evenly matched. We saw a good battle across both of these two maps. Obviously, this last one, without question, with the OT going back and forth. But the stylistic differences that we see between these two teams, now insert that into the conversation of how they would match up versus the other teams in the group, who I would say, like, these are the two kind of wild cards in Group A in terms of what they want to bring to the table. There could be opportunities for them to kind of break the mold a little bit and maybe find more success in the future. I feel like this group is a tough one to get through, but that was a pivotal series for the side of Core. They avoid going 0-3, which is huge for their chances at trying to make the midseason, and they do it in a very unique way, which I think is just kind of really cool, just generally speaking, all around.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be the team that ends 0-5, 0-4, 0-3. At least right now, 0-3, we already have one team like that, and then Core needed to step up, and where they did just that. So it feels good, and it did match to what we were expecting, right? A close match. Maybe not the prediction that we put, but that's okay, because this is the Core that we want to see.
Yeah, I mean, this is what we're kind of asking for. We sort of said we haven't really had a chance to see YFP go up against like these juggernauts in the group. So we didn't really have a full idea. And again, like they sort of drop a map to Thinking Man. They get 0-2 by Together We Are Terrific. So generally, like, a lot of question marks. Now the group gets opened up a lot more, because now YFP and Core both are at 1 and 2 here. Oxygen, I mean, they're at 1. Obviously, they lose that first match, right? That makes the Together We Are Terrific Oxygen game very interesting, because a 1-2 Oxygen in this group, pretty crazy. It is conceivable, I think, given the kind of form that we're seeing from Together We Are Terrific here. And for Thinking Man, it also means that you can get yourself off the bottom here. It's going to take a lot over the next few games, but it's definitely not out of the question. And MXS just like, yo, what's up? How's it going down there?
You just need anything. You just need one match, and you're back in the game. That's all you need. But we saw a lot. We saw a lot happen. It was only 2 maps, but it did feel like about 5 maps between these two teams with how close it was, with the overtime that we got to see. So let's take a breath. Let's review. Let's go to the series highlights. And when we come back, we have an interview.
One enemy remaining. Flawless. One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining. A. One enemy remaining. Defenders win.
Shut down.
One enemy remaining. Flawless.
My ult is
30 seconds left. Planted. One enemy remaining. One enemy. One enemy remaining. One enemy. Spike planted.
Just a very quick break, and just like that as well, we're back, and it's time for the interview. I have T-Dog with me to talk about this massive win for QOR that we get to see in overtime. And T-Dog, this was an insane match, especially an insane sunset that we got to see.
Yeah.
And the first thing I want to ask you is, we saw that clutch from your Viper, from Civ, insane moment, and everybody was standing up. But what was everybody saying to each other?
I mean, it was insane. Just to be real about it, there are a lot of moments where we're clutching up or there's a lot of energy. We should just take some time to breathe. Shout out to Ocean and Slow for doing a great job of, applying that dynamic to our game. And I just feel like, we were there the entire time. And the only reason that didn't end earlier is because we decided for it to not.
It's just all in your power. It's just everything that you do with it. And speaking of that, I want to ask you about Sunset. You were playing Sunset so many times in the Open Qualifier. You got to play it 5 times in the Open Qualifier, this one being the 6th time you play it. And every single time you were running a different composition. You were running the Cypher and the Breach. This time around, you change it around a little bit. You bring out the Sage, you bring out the Viper. So tell me the reasoning behind this changing composition. That was actually the one that YFP was playing.
Yeah, I think the main reason for it is just because we want to stay away from the standard. I think a super common problem that this scene has in this region is they watch pro matches like Sentinels, they play their exact comp, and they don't even know the reason they're playing it for. So ingenuity and just being creative, I think, is a huge positive for yourself as a player, whether you're an IGL or not. And we just worked on this. We theory-crafted it a little bit. We ran it in scrims. We beat just about everybody, and we executed it today. A little sloppy in a couple moments of mid rounds, post plants, clutches like that. But I'm happy that we got to close it off.
Yeah, it was an overtime, and it was just as well so hyped to see it. And the important thing is you were able to close it off. I know you mentioned it a little bit already about everybody kind of doing what they had to do today to close out these 2 maps. But it is the first win that you get in Challenger, so it's a big deal to get on the board, to start getting those wins.
Absolutely.
And what do you account the win that you had today to compared to the other past 2 matches where things didn't go your way?
I think that we ourselves have this weird notorious thing for starting slow. We had some weird shakes in the first match where we weren't playing our game against Moist. Those guys were kind of our off-season rival along with Oxygen, and I think they had a lot of confidence going into it, and I think it showed on the first map. They just got in our face and they kind of did whatever we wanted, and we had a quick kind of snap back on Bind where we're we're right here. We're in this league for a reason. We need to start fucking playing like it. Sorry. And just that dynamic, even though we lost that second map, that was huge for our mental. We came into it today knowing we're the better team. We're not playing to the standard that I want just yet, but, we're getting towards it. And I just want to amp it up and, stop having these really slow starts, to whatever it may be. But, I'm definitely looking forward to the next 2 matches here, and it just kind of goes hand in hand to with what was happening today, right? We just curb stomp these guys in the first map. They get a little momentum and they just start shooting bodies, right? It's honestly just comical, and we just need to prove to these people that we need to be respected. Years, everybody on this team, including me, has just been talked down upon by anybody. It's what now? Now we weren't in the league, now we are. Okay, now we're in the league, we're gonna start winning. I'm waiting for playoffs now. I'm just gonna keep letting everybody talk. We're just going to keep working. You can't stop us.
And it's so good because you're fired up, you're confident, you get this win, and you're really proving everybody that, first of all, anybody can win against anybody, and also
Absolutely. That
you guys can win against anybody. So it's great to see the confidence. You guys are looking good, and you also get ahead into what is going to be my last question. The last 2 opponents that you have of this regular season is going to be Thinking Man and Oxygen. So give me your thoughts and how you feel about those 2 matches.
I think with the season, a lot of people are kind of getting their shakes out of the way. I think Thinking Men looked pretty good today. I was watching some of their match before we played, and then Oxygen, obviously a really well-oiled machine. I do think that they're going to go into that match probably saving some stuff. I don't think they're going to blow their load too quick into the season, save stuff for the mid-season cup, etc. But I'm confident in both of them. I want to end in as high as I can in this group from, again, this kind of ugly start. And I'm happy that we got this guy. Wrong hand. This guy right here. We got him a win in Challengers, man. From DSG never winning once to getting relegated to losing 2 in a row. Right. He's on the board, man. He's on the board.
He's on the board. Oh my god, you're so right. And it really looks like the team effort, the evolution that you guys have had. So really, congratulations on this win. It is a big one, and I'm sure that we're going to see a lot more from you, T-Dog, and the rest of the team. So congrats. And
thank you so
now we get to bring out the analysts once again to talk about everything that we've gotten the chance to see on these 2 series. But I want to first start off with what we just heard, T-Dog. I love the way that he was talking, fired up, confident, and I think that's what the narrative has been for Challengers so far. Anybody can win against anybody, and you can underestimate them, you can say whatever, but when it comes to the match and when you have to deliver results, they are going to be delivering those results. So I really like that. I really like what I heard over, and I think it might change some predictions for the next weeks and when it comes to core.
I mean, I get it. I actually interviewed T-Dog years ago on VALORANT when he was grinding, trying to come up in tier 2. And there was like this, he was like promised to be on the FaZe team, and that turns out like the guy was like, you know, scamming or whatever. It was a very odd situation, but he, even back then, really well spoken, always felt like he had a lot to prove, right? So this has been like, this is not just this year, this has been years in the making. So,
yeah,
you know, you can see that there's like a chip on these guys' shoulder, and they feel like they have a lot to prove. This is the perfect stage to do it. That's the perfect match to do it in as well. And when you got individuals like Nerve standing up, Ziff with those 2 back-to-back rounds that were frankly just, you know, nauseating. Like this team, I was gassed, but why didn't I predict them? I'm so mad, bro. I'm lost in this. I like talked them up so much. I was simping hard, and then I just predicted the other team. Don't know what happened. Brain farted. Anyway, these guys are looking really good, and this is a really hard group to get out of. But now you put them on upset watch for anyone they play.
Yeah, now you have different kind of expectations with the way that they looked and the way that everybody individually got their moment, which was amazing to see. But Shift, that is sort of the end of the day. Let's take a look at how everything turned out today, because again, this last map, it felt really long. It was a lot of back and forth, but we had 2 matches today. The first one was that 2-1 where Moist Shopify take the win, and then the second one we just saw, it was Core 2-0 YFP.
Yeah, and I think Thinking Men are going to have a lot of confidence off of their changes and adjustments they made on Split. Looked much better. A couple of mishaps in the map number 2, and then I think the third map as well, kind of a situation that was winnable. They're definitely going to want to bounce back going into next week, because they're going to start having to play up against teams like YFP and Core and those boys. But on top of that, looking at tomorrow's matchups, you know, talking about teams that have sounded off and said, don't sleep on us. Don't sleep on Winthrop versus TSM. TSM have yet to be convincing in my mind compared to what the roster is on paper. And Winthrop really made everyone kind of shake in their shoes last week after their performance in their 2-0 that no one expected. So I'm pumped for that one in particular. And then the Glazers are, even though they're the bottom of Group B, they're not a team to be overlooked as well, because I think they're kind of in the same boat as Thinking Men and YFP, where there's a lot of potential there, and they have shown it against some good caliber opponents at this point.
And again, anything can happen, but because we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, I do want to get you guys, are we all confident on M80 winning against the Glazers? I really want to ask you, because I'm not going to get the chance to ask you tomorrow. Yeah? Confident. That one's not going to change.
They are just a pretty tight unit here. They've like, some of the Lotus games have been really back and forth, but like, the Glazers look good. I predicted them to beat TSM. I legitimately thought they could do that. I'm kind of simping for my boy Zachary here, but I don't think that is remotely an even playing field. Okay.
It's just M80 is on another level, and there's a little gap, and then it's kind of a fight between everybody. But M80, they definitely seem to be the team on top. But to see if they're going to actually get that win and be as dominant as we're hyping them up to be, you guys are going to have to catch us tomorrow. Same time, same place for VALORANT Challengers North America. So we'll see you then.